Hi, welcome to Where's Wilmington? I'm Lisa Capalla, your host. Today we're going to talk about everybody's favorite topic, food. Actually, eating food properly. So I have three lovely ladies here with me today who are my resident experts. We have Janice Donovan with us. She's an RN. Next to her is Tricia Hoyt. She is a trainer. And next to her is Paula Stracamoro, correct? Okay, and she is actually a success story about weight loss and a trainer as well, or you're in transitions coach. Okay, so we're going to talk about how to eat better. First thing I'd like to talk about, Janice, is what do you think is America's issue with food and the way we eat currently? I mean, I've seen on the news that we're the most obese nation of all the nations. We even beat out Samoa, which when you picture Samoan people, of course we love them, you have to think they're quite large people. We've actually beat them out. So I know that when people think about food, a lot of us think about weight loss, but it's not just about weight loss, it's about health as well. So tell me a little bit about what our culture is going through from your perspective.
Sure. I think that today the typical American is eating an awful lot of processed foods, sugar being a huge piece of it. The average American consumes somewhere in the ballpark of about 150 pounds of sugar a year, which seems incredible, but you know, look at what we're feeding our kids, the sugary drinks. There's hidden sugars in everything. So I think the processed foods and just getting back to, you know, what Tricia always says, if you can't pick it, grow it.
Pick it, kill it, or grow it. Don't eat it.
Right,
Don't eat it.
right. Well, what about the concept of I just don't have enough time? You know, I think we're all busy people, whether you're married or not, children or not, what have you. I think our culture is instant gratification oriented as well. If you can drive through and pick it up and eat while you're driving, people are going to do that. So how do we get past that myth, if it is a myth, that you can't eat healthy quickly? How do we get past that?
I think it's just that. It's a mindset. And I think that what we try to do is when we coach people is really change the way they look at things. And, you know, all of us are moms, very busy. We all own businesses, and, you know, incorporating into busy professionals' lives is what we really specialize in. So it's a matter of looking at, instead of the fast food, you know, McDonald's, run through there.
Or other chains. We don't want to certainly have McDonald's down here at you.
That's right.
Anything
That's
that
right.
has a drive-through, we'll leave it at
food,
that.
Right.
Right.
But I think that, you know, looking at how quickly we can make meals, make them easier. Tricia's kind of a good person as far as working with health professionals and busy professionals,
Right.
and how to help them incorporate it in making quick, easy meals.
Okay. What about the people who are going to be watching this and they're going to say, okay, that's all well and good. If I have the time, I can make the time, but that healthy food just plain doesn't taste good.
Sure. I think, though, if we can back up just for a second, because I think what people need to understand is what happens in our body. And, you know, certainly obesity, the health challenges of Americans today is huge. And looking at what happens when we consume sugary foods, or what we talk about, the glycemic index, and how sugars and carbohydrates, when we ingest them, how they're absorbed by the body.
Let's give the folks a little education on that. I could use some too, because you do hear on TV a lot, low carb, low glycemic index. What does that really mean, though, to the average person?
Sure. So when you eat a carbohydrate, they rank it on a scale based on how that carbohydrate impacts your blood sugar. And so, for instance, you know, obviously sugar, cookie, cake, candy, things like that are going to make our blood sugar go up really fast. But our body's job when we eat something is the stomach breaks it down and we extract the sugar from that, because sugar gives us energy. Sugar is good for us. We actually need it. Our brains need it. But what happens is when we take in a food like, let's just take a white potato, which is very starchy, very easily broken down. Our bodies can extract the sugar quite quickly and make our blood sugar go up really fast. What happens is when our blood sugar goes up really fast, our insulin levels follow right behind that, go up really fast. And there's a little metabolic switch that goes off that puts us into fat storage mode, because it goes back to hunter-gatherer days.
I see.
When, you know, our body believes that the human is giving them this much food making the blood sugar go up that fast because they must be in a feasting mode. So we best save that extra energy for later so it gets stored as fat.
Okay.
So the name of the game is to not make your blood sugar go up really fast. It's
Okay.
to make it more level. So instead of the white potato, if you add fat or fiber to a food, you can lower that glycemic impact. Or sweet potato is a great thing, you know, you could eat instead of a white potato. So I think when we educate people on what it is that we're putting into our body, how it impacts it, then people can look at food a little differently so that it's not as difficult as avoiding, you know, fast food chains.
Right.
It's really just understanding how our body's metabolism works.
And making better choices, maybe small choices, little bits at a time, which I want to ask you, Paula, a little bit about that, and I will get to you, Tricia. Paula has a great success story. 100 pounds?
96, 96.
Oh, 96,
We're going
okay.
for 100 though. so,
Okay.
yeah.
How did you do it?
Just with great coaching right here. Awesome coaching, yeah. But
What
it's-
made you decide to finally do it once and for all?
I didn't even know I was ready, and she invited me to a class, and I don't know. I was like, I think I could do this. It's a doable program.
Okay. And the program you're talking about is Transitions, right? And that's the organization that you all
Right.
believe in and are part of, right?
Yeah. Right.
Transitions helps re-educate folks about diet and exercise, and I don't want to say dieting.
lifestyle. It's
I want to
lifestyle.
say a way
Right.
of life concept,
Right.
better eating in general. What did
Exactly.
you notice, Paula, about your body other than the physical changes, about your energy level or how you felt depression-wise or what have
Oh,
you?
your mood gets better, your energy goes up, my blood pressure went down. I had aches and pains that went away. It's just an amazing, I just know I was probably the precursor to type 2 diabetic.
Really?
So I was getting there. I would get like that shaky, that high blood sugar, low blood
Right.
sugar, so all that went away.
And Janice said that you're a mom also. How
Right.
did the changes you made in your way of eating, instead of using the word diet,
Right.
how did that impact your children? And how were they about, oh, Mom, we're no longer having ho-hos for breakfast?
No, you know what? I
How
didn't
was
really.
that?
They eat what they eat, and I eat what I. That's not my food. I also do daycare out of my home, and I feed those kids, healthy, but they eat foods that we shouldn't eat. I mean, kids can handle a little bit more than we can as far as sugars go.
Okay.
And it's
All
not no sugar. I call it the 80-20 rule. So 80% of the time, I eat
Right.
healthy. 20% of the time, I have.
And let's face it, all things
What I
in
want.
moderation. I
Right.
think if you make yourself go all the way to the other end, you're going
Right.
to end up depressed and probably fall off the wagon. So I would imagine
Exactly.
it's got to be gradual change. Okay, so you get the food piece down. How do you get the exercise piece down? Because for me, I find when I'm doing well with the food, the exercising goes away. When I'm doing great with the exercising, I feel like I can eat more. How does
Right,
that
right.
work, Tricia?
Oh, there's so many ways to attack it, really. First of all, you have to look at someone's schedule, and if it's somebody that doesn't really like to exercise and they really are complaining about having the time to exercise, it's not cookie cutter. Really, you have to look at the schedule, and the way I work with my clients is we say, okay, realistically, how many days do you think you could fit this in a perfect world? And they'll give me a minimum and a maximum, and we shoot for somewhere in between. It takes a lot of coaching too, and holding people accountable. We're all just a bunch of adult children, I always say. So it's so easy, especially as moms and parents in this world, to as soon as someone else needs us for something, you're the first person to go.
Right.
So it's, again, what Janice said, it's a mindset. You can't think of it as, so-and-so needs me right now, so I guess I'm not going to get my workout in. Because really, our family, our jobs, our businesses, if we own businesses, our employers, they rely on us to perform excellent every day. And if you're thriving, they're all going to thrive. Your
Right.
families will thrive.
And I mean, how many sick days or lost work time
Exactly.
is due to the bad choices that we
Right,
make from
right.
our lifestyle and from not exercising? I've also heard of things you can do like parking further away.
Yep.
I will sometimes take phone calls on the treadmill. There are a lot of different tricks you can
Yep,
do, I
yep.
guess, to find a way to fit
Absolutely.
that time in
Yeah.
there.
We will joke about even just unloading the dishwasher, doing squats, taking the milk out of the refrigerator and doing some
So you just
bicep
need to be a little
curls.
more creative.
Absolutely.
Creative, and there's a different angle I also talk about too, and it's kind of about, I actually stole this from someone that wrote a book, but something about batching your time with things that you do. For example, maybe it's emails, maybe it's when you're doing the Facebook thing, maybe it's returning phone calls, but if you could, instead of just always you know, taking those calls as they come in or taking those emails as they come in, but responding to them all at once, it's a lot more time efficient. It actually creates a lot more time in your life so that you can work out.
Right, because sometimes multitasking can be good, but sometimes it can be your downfall as well. I do think it's important to devote that one block of time to yourself every day. I think that's really important.
Absolutely.
So also I wanted to make our viewers aware that Wilmington Reads is doing a special Michael Pollan's book on the omnivore's dilemma. Can I have you comment, Janice, on him and what his whole shtick is about the eating process?
I loved what he had to say. I think as consumers, one of the most important things that we believe in is educated consumers. And people don't think about what they're putting into their body every day and how important it is to our health in the long run. And it's not just about weight. This is about health. You can be skinny and very unhealthy, or you can be, you know, well endowed, I guess, and be a healthy person. So it's not a vanity thing. This is all about being healthy. And what Michael Pollan talks about is what's happened to the food chain. And he breaks it down into 4 different, you know, areas. He talks about the industrial food chain and what's happened to how we're feeding our cattle. I mean, it's just a dominoes effect all the way across the board. And what it comes down to when you read these is really the almighty dollar, you know. And so as consumers, you know, let's not be fooled by everything that we see on the media or what we read. You know, you really have to do research. And I believe that educated consumers in understanding where the food is coming from, it's really important. We take people on grocery food field trips, and how important it is to shop from the outer perimeter where what is out there. It's not the processed foods, it's the stuff that, you know, the local farmers grow, or maybe it, you know, it comes from afar, but, you know, it's the natural foods. You know what? Because apples don't have labels on them.
Right. Isn't it funny, too, that, you know, in the olden days it was butter is bad for you, go to margarine. Then a few years later it was, oh no, butter's the way to go, can the margarine. Same thing is happening with sugar. You know, all the sugar substitutes, oh, have that. Now it's, no, let's get back to the basic real food concept. So we could talk for another 2 hours, but unfortunately we don't have another 2 hours to go. So I'm going to ask you ladies, is there anything final you'd like our viewers to know? And I'll start with you, Paula, if you'd like to share anything with anybody today.
You know, it's just don't trade your health for convenience. Like, you know what I mean? You can make a million excuses why not to get healthy, but what's more important? You know
That's
what I mean?
a really
your
powerful
job,
statement.
you know?
I like that. And Tricia, what would you like to tell our
Yeah,
viewers today?
I'd love to tell people just to not make it so monumental and have fun with it, and really just like Paula said, an 80-20 rule or 90-10 in the beginning if it is about losing some weight for your health, or even a 95-5 rule in the beginning until you get closer to your goal. But have fun with it, try new recipes. I'm all about 5 ingredients or less, and if I can do it, I think anybody can do it. So I'm not about spending a lot of time in the kitchen.
And everybody starts somewhere.
Exactly.
You know, I mean, you're not going to be able to climb a mountain in a day, probably. But you know, every journey starts with one step. And Janice, anything you'd like our viewers to know while we have them captive?
Right. I think you know, whether you're a mom or, you know, you're an aunt, an uncle, a grandfather, grandmother, whatever it is, we are role models for our children. And, you know, they just said just a little while ago that, you know, this generation is the first generation that the parents will actually outlive the children. This is serious. This is scary. And I think statistically we have to wake up. And Americans are getting less healthy. Type 2 diabetes, which is an adult disease, is now running rampant in our kids. And why? You know, what are we doing? Yeah, we're not, maybe we're watching more video games and things like that, but what are we feeding our kids? And I think we as adults have to take responsibility for that and really
And I think
open
we're
our
seeing
eyes.
the pendulum go the other way, because the next segment of the show is going to be with the farmers market people, and we're seeing farmers markets more often everywhere. You know, you go to other countries, they have markets where everybody gets their food in the morning for that night, and wouldn't it be nice if we could do that? So I hope that what you're teaching us today reaches the public. I hope everybody makes those little changes. Now, if they want more information, you ladies are all on Facebook, right?
We are.
So we can get you there, and I know, Tricia, we have your website information up if folks want more information. information or support. So I
Absolutely.
thank you all for being with us today.
Thank you.
And I thank
for
you for
having us.
watching. Stay right there. We're going to find out more about how to eat better and smarter and be healthier. So stay right there. We'll be back with more of Where's Wilmington right after this. Hello, welcome back to the second half of Where's Wilmington, where we're talking about everything food. So the first half of the show, we talked to the ladies from Transitions. They talked to us a little bit about how America is eating and how we can make that better. Now we're going to talk to the Wilmington Farmers Market people about where you can get the better food that the Transitions ladies told us about. So welcome. Glad to have you all here with us. So I'll start with you, Dawn Reedy. You're the clerk for the Wilmington Farmers Market.
Yes.
Can you tell me a little bit about what your position there entails and what goes on?
I do a lot of, I take the minutes at all the meetings, copy them, make sure that we have them all organized and together. I write thank you letters to the editor, press releases, things like that for the
Okay.
newspapers.
So you make the folks aware of what the farmers market is doing. So what are they doing?
Well, we are opening July 10th. We're fundraising right now. One of our fundraising events is a yoga class every Saturday at 4, is it? At the Yoga Loft in Wilmington.
Oh, sure. Jen has been on the program.
And we also have canvas bags that we are giving away in exchange for donations.
Excellent.
What else are we doing? We're organizing community groups to appear at the market. So we're in touch with the Rotary Club, the Garden
Great.
Club, library to offer them space at the market.
Okay.
We are coordinating all our vendors, which is Amanda's.
Right. Good. Where is the farmers market going to be?
It's at the former Swain School site.
We know where that is.
Yeah.
That's where we lived for 25 years.
Yes. Yes.
Well, it's good to see something positive going there because although the building was dilapidated, I love the site itself. So that's a really nice area for you to be. And I'm going to jump over to you, Stan. You're Director of Technology, so you handle everything web, right?
That's right, yep.
Okay. So what kinds of things will we see on the website, and what do you think is important to be there for folks to know about the farmers market?
It's primarily education about the farmers market. So not only where it's going to be, but what it is, and there are links to other websites that people might find interesting or useful, things that pertain to farmers markets and
Since
eating
you've
that
been
kind
working
of
on the
food.
web, what really is a farmer's market for those who don't know? I mean, we had fruit stands growing up and roadside
Yeah.
corn vendors.
Well,
is it kind of like
our
that?
farmers market, we've set down some rules initially to only include local farmers because we wanted, we didn't want people going to a wholesale produce vendor and just bringing food in.
Right.
So it's just local farmers growing. It's all local stuff, sustainably grown. We try to bring in organic produce so it's not all covered in pesticides, and that's primarily the focus. And then from there, once we branch out after the farmers, we go into, like Dawn said, the educational aspect of it, the community aspect of it. I will bring in entertainment, but other vendors too, people that might make soaps or candles or things like that.
I see. How long is the market going to be open, and what days and times do we know?
Yes,
Is it going
we're
to be
gonna
every Saturday, or?
It's going to be every Sunday from July 10th through September the 4th, and we'll be open 12:30 to 3:30.
Okay, that's pretty good. So that means that we will have only foods that are grown in that season? Is that correct?
Yes.
Yes? Amanda, is that your area of expertise?
Yes.
Okay.
Our farmers that we have as vendors this year, they grow all of the local produce. So you'll have things like squash and carrots and heirloom tomatoes. So yes, it'll be what's in season. That's why we picked middle of July.
Yes,
it's more
because that's a
abundant
good growing
in July.
season. And that's the time when you want to be milling around looking at soap and candles and goodies and so forth. You don't want to be doing that in the winter, right? Unless you're inside. How did you get the local farmers to be part of this, and were they actually supportive or were they against the idea?
Well, actually, I'm a farmer myself. I
Okay.
lease land in Drake it, and I farm, and so I know a little bit about the inside of the farmers. You know, the inside circle of farmers
Right,
around
right.
here, and you know, they thought it was a great idea. You know, I approached a couple of farmers that are outside of Wilmington, and they said, "Great, that sounds great." So. It's definitely something that's happening. There are more
Okay.
farmers markets popping up everywhere, so the farmers are excited.
Right. What if something happens to the crop season? You as a farmer can speak to this, and you simply don't have quality produce to bring. What happens then?
Yeah, it's a hard thing. The good thing is that, you know, with your public, with your customers, they get to know you, so they know who you are as a farmer, and they trust that, you know, you're not going to bring things to the market that aren't going to be top quality. So if
Right.
something doesn't, you know, grow that season, your customers know that, and they trust you, and so it'll, you know, and usually what they do is they substitute something else in.
Okay. What are the prices that you're going to see at a farmer's market with the organic food comparable to what you would see in a supermarket? Because I know there's a concern with some folks. It's all well and good to say you want to eat healthy, but if it's not in my budget to afford it,
Right.
how do I do that? So is it higher priced? And if it is, why?
It is higher priced. It's not going to be your supermarket value priced. It will be higher because it is grown local, and these farmers, like Stan had mentioned, are sustainable. They don't grow their crops with pesticides
Right.
and fungicides, and that takes a lot more work. That's a lot more labor. So because it's so labor intensive, it's more expensive. But on the long run, you're going to pay more now, but you're going to pay less later in your health because you're going to be eating healthier food that aren't sprayed with those pesticides that you ingest.
That's an excellent point. Stan, what kinds of questions are people sending you via email to your website? What kinds of things do folks want to know?
Just basic questions. When is it going to begin? Will we know? Will we have a list of farmers and vendors who are going to be there from week to week, which we're actually
Right.
working to put on the website now.
Okay.
There'll be a chart right on the website, and you can see if you have a particular vendor that you like, you can tell which weeks they're going to be there.
Now, you will only have local Wilmington farmers? Will you have Tewksbury and other towns too? Oh, I'm so glad, because I'm from Tewksbury and I wouldn't want my poor farmers to be out. So you'll include people that are within a certain radius?
Well, we did do that at first. We did say within a 40-mile radius outside of Wilmington, and
Right.
we, you know, as the market manager, I started scouting out different farms within that 40-mile radius. And what we came into a problem with is that either those farmers were taken within that 40 miles, they were going to other markets because new farmers markets are popping up everywhere,
Right.
or we had to extend our boundaries a little further. And so what we decided as a board was that we were going to say grown in Massachusetts or grown in New England. And
Okay.
that gave us a little more leeway, and now we have farmers, but they're still not, they're not hours away. You know,
Right.
the distance is usually within an hour and a half
Okay.
to get to our market.
That's
and
good
that's
to know.
comparable, we thought.
What do you do, and whoever knows can answer this, if you have two farmers that grow the same thing and one wants to be in the front row and the other one wants to be in the front row and they both have lovely tomatoes, how do you deal with that?
Well, we designed the layout of the farmers market to be shaped in a U. So
Okay.
there isn't really any farmer who's out front per se.
So you're the Camelot round table method
Right, it's
there.
kind of like in a
Okay.
U shape. So that way the customers and, you know, the residents of Wilmington will be able to choose. And based on quality and taste, you know, the customers will decide the price or decide
Right.
who they're going to buy. It's not so much who's out front or who gets the better spot. It's
Okay.
pretty much equal.
Are you going to allow farmers that grow the same crops to display those wares simultaneously? Mm-hmm. Really?
I
Yeah.
think
I wonder
we've
how
done
that's gonna
enough
go.
research so far to gauge how many people we think will be showing up at the market and how many farmers we're going to
Okay.
need for that number of people.
How many do you
So-
think will be showing up?
Well, you know, we think probably somewhere between 300 and 500.
I thought you were going to say 3 and 5 people. I was going to say, I'll be
No,
there.
no.
3 and 500, wow.
Yeah, because it's
Okay.
a 3-hour market. We looked at other markets, other first-year markets, and
Right.
done some research on those. Got some feedback from other market managers. I know Amanda was working with some other market managers and getting the numbers of what you could expect. And with the board that we have of 5 people, there's enough, and the other people that are helping us, there's enough manpower to get the word out via the website, posters around town, other towns. A lot of research went
So
into
this is
it.
an outdoor thing. What do we do if it rains?
Bring your umbrella.
Yeah, we carry on.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, we're-
Okay.
Rain or shine.
Excellent. And what do you do about refrigeration concerns? Do any of your products need to be kept cool?
Not at this current time. We don't have any vendors that will use refrigeration. If it is, we are allowed to sell eggs. So there will be some farmers that will have eggs, and those need to just be stored below 40 degrees in a cooler. If we are working, currently working with other vendors in the Board of Health to just go over if we could have vendors that have refrigeration. So that's a work in progress.
So this sounds like it's a huge project, really more than most people would think. You know, I'm thinking farm stands, set up a couple crates, but there's really a lot more to it than that.
I think probably more than we thought too when we first started.
What do you folks think, and I'll let each of you answer this, is the biggest misconception about farmers markets? What do you think?
I think people kind of initially when we first started talking about it, a lot of people assumed that we were talking about something similar to Haymarket.
Okay.
And that's really not what we are.
And how are you different than Haymarket?
Well, Haymarket is something where a lot of those vendors get their produce wholesale. Right. It's large volume, low quality, low price. And it's not neat. It's messy.
Yes.
This is more of a kind of a pastoral kind of thing. It's more of a community enhancement. It's more of an opportunity to bring people together. It's got a nice atmosphere. It's a family atmosphere. It's a little more freedom of movement. You don't feel like you're under the gun and pressed.
Right.
So it's much nicer. It's much more relaxing.
Excellent. You know, I didn't know that those markets bring in produce from technically grocery stores and just put them there, right? So I guess if you don't really check, you could be bamboozled, so to speak. And what do you think, Stan, has been the biggest
you know, I'd like to
misconception?
add to what she said first about, you know, the produce coming in from places like Haymarket. We chose to go with local farmers so that we could be sure that this stuff was being picked that morning and then coming to the market that afternoon. I think that's you know.
That is really a good point.
Right.
Yeah, because you can't.
Really
How much can you ask really from your market? You know, do they even know sometimes?
If you get a tomato from a supermarket that was grown in Mexico, it was picked, you know, 5 days before it was ripe, put on a truck, shipped across the country, and just can't be compared to something that was picked at the height of freshness and ripeness that morning.
And it's simply a choice. We certainly don't want to knock mainstream
No.
markets. That's fine. There's a place for them too.
Absolutely.
But it's simply a choice, and if you can, why not support your local
Well, that's what we
growers?
always say. If a guy in the next town over is growing a tomato and, you know, and it's fresh picked that morning, it's nice to have that choice.
Right, excellent. And Amanda, what do you think are people's biggest misconception about the markets that you'd like to add to what your colleagues said?
I think being a farmer, my biggest misconception that I see that other people have is the price. It's just, you know, they.
I mean, is it really that much higher? I've never actually priced it out.
And for the quality that you get, it's not. And I think that's the whole misconception, is that it needs to be local. You know.
I will tell you, as a consumer, a lot of times I feel better knowing who I'm handing my money to.
Right.
You know, if I can go with someone local that I know, and I know the money I'm spending is going to that person and I like them, I feel a little better sometimes about that. So maybe that will help. Anything final you folks would like to add before we close the segment?
Well, we should mention the website.
Absolutely. It'll be up on the screen for folks.
www.wilmingtonfarmersmarket.com.
Yep. And what will we see when we dial that up?
You'll see when the market's going to begin, a layout of the market, you know, farmers that are going to be there, information on if you wanted to sponsor the market, that will be on the website as well.
And I'm sure you need help, because I know you're trying to raise some funds to get this done, right?
It
takes a village, so I can understand that. Anything you'd like to add?
No, just that we are a nonprofit, and we do appreciate any help that we can get.
And come.
Yes,
come
and
to the
come to the
market,
market.
right?
Come to the
July
And Amanda,
10th.
how about you? Anything you'd like to tell?
I just want to
viewers
invite
today?
all the residents and the public to come when opening day, and
Excellent.
you know, we're also still looking for local vendors. So
Cool.
if there's some local artisans, go on the website, look
Okay.
up the information.
And finally, is there a fee to enter the market itself? Will there be a ticket price to enter the market? No. So then they can come and look and check it out for yourself. Can't hurt to go see what's available and really find out for yourself if it's what you want to do.
Right.
Thank you so much for being with us today.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate that. I want to thank you for watching this edition of Where's Wilmington. I hope you learned a lot. Hope you make some better food choices. I'm going to try to give up that soda. If you catch me with it, pull me aside. I just want to thank you for watching Where's Wilmington, and let you know that if someone asks you where's Wilmington, you need to say right here and right here on WCTV. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again soon.